Hey, this is Josh Roosen from Multifamily Wealth Nation. If you want to learn how to use your small axe to build your personal empire, you should be listening to the Small Axe podcast with my good friend, Nico.
Hey guys, it's your boy Nico here from the Small Axe Podcast. I want to show you how to use your small axe to build a lasting empire. You see, not everybody begins their investing career with millions of dollars, a huge network of investors, or the knowledge necessary to become successful in this space, and that's okay. What I focus on here on this podcast is helping you hone your skills, sharpen your tools to become the best investor that you can be. Now, I want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy this show. If you have any questions or you want to reach out to me or the guest, feel free to do so. Love you guys. All right, Small Axe community, welcome back to another episode. And I am super excited because today I got a good friend of mine and he's back. I haven't talked to him in a while on air. He was actually, I think, the second or third or maybe the fourth guest on this show. Really, really cool guy. I can't wait to get him back on so you can hear what he's been up to and catch up to what he's been working on and what he's going to be doing in the future. His name is Josh Roosen. Josh, welcome back, man.
Thank you, Nico. Excited to be here and hopefully provide some value to your audience.
Yeah, man, I am so excited to talk to you. And it's crazy, man, because I talk to a lot of people in the industry. And when I say that I mention that I have spoken to you fairly recently, they're like, what, Josh? I want to hear from him. And now is the chance that they can hear from you. So let's jump into it. I want to give the listeners first some sort of background about who you are, where you came from, and how you got into this industry, and then kind of catch them up a little bit closer to what you're working on today.
Yeah, let's do it. So my story really starts when I was in 8th grade, and I had an aunt who gave me the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. She was in real estate and one of the more successful people in my family. She was a CPA, sort of got the idea of having money working hard, not just working hard for her money. And while that planted a seed, I didn't really act on that in 8th grade, right? Just kind of the idea, and gave me the receptiveness. Now, fast forward to college, I wanted to be a doctor, and I worked for an orthopedic surgeon, and I actually nannied for the guy, believe it or not. But I was really able to see how he was able to have money work for him. So not only was he a doctor, but he owned other businesses, and it kind of showed me what's possible in life. And well, one day I kind of came home, or he did actually, and he was like, told me not to go into medical school. He said, when in the 90s, he used to make 7 figures a year. He's lucky to make half that. I'm going to come out in all this debt, and just painted a picture that he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't let his kids do it. He recommended I go into business instead of going to medical school. So I move home after college and I try starting a home healthcare company. Now, Nico, at this point, I had no knowledge in business. I just knew that I had someone that had a lot of success telling me that this is the way to go. So 6 months in, I had a website, business cards, brochure, LLC, Google Voice number, but I didn't have any revenue coming in. And so I didn't know the difference between activity and accomplishment. And so my parents, being very of the W-2 mindset and kind of the middle-class mindset, were like, Josh, this is a pipe dream, time to grow up and get a job. And I didn't have any money to my name at the time. I was living in their house and my student loans were, I only could defer them for 6 months coming due. So it really left me in a predicament there. And so I to appease them, I took a job in sales, found out I was decent at that. And then I basically continued to learn more about entrepreneurship and using that money, bought my first investment property. And then when things really started taking off is I found an opportunity for a sales job for a really large real estate education company called Fortune Builders. And I took a leap to go work for them, one, for the opportunity for income, but two, really to surround myself with people that were doing this business. And because I didn't have any money at the time, it's either pay to play or seek to serve to get access to higher level mentors. So I figured if I can go seek to serve there, work for them, and then learn the tools, systems, and knowledge to go out there and implement this business, that would be my path into real estate investing.
That's crazy, man. Coming from parents, if parents are hitting you with that mindset of, no, you need to go get a real job, it must be so challenging. Like, you have to really, really believe in the opposite, right? You have to really believe in the entrepreneurial spirit that you can succeed as an entrepreneur when you have parents so close to you that you know and trust and love telling you to go the other route. That must have been tough, man.
Yeah, so it was 100%, right? Because your parents are acting with what knowledge they have to steer you in the best direction they can. However, what I knew was, although my parents did good, the entrepreneurs that I saw did a lot better, right? The lifestyle they had, how they were able to provide for their kids, and really how they were able to have money work for them, not just work hard for the money. And so for me, when I saw the difference in results, that was all I needed to know of, like, hey, this is possible. I can do it. I just need the right knowledge, the right network, and to take the right actions.
Yeah. You also mentioned in there, I mean, you're doing it, which is awesome. And you mentioned pay to play or seek to serve. Can you kind of distinguish those?
Yeah. So as you get more valuable in this industry, right, your time is your most limited resource. And so to get access to someone's time and think you can get it for free is sort of unreasonable, right? Because everybody wants access to high level mentors. And so it's usually, if you can do an exchange for value, whether you're paying for their time or adding value to them in other ways, then you can sort of get more access to these people. So for me, when I was at Fortune Builders, if it was to crush it for the owner of the company, right, to be the best at my role, to be a leader within the company, inspire others and invest in them. And that allowed me to not only scale up the ladder, but be really good at what I do, master my craft. And it was sort of a win-win in that aspect.
Yeah, man. But so not everybody has this energy or this drive that you do, because you really go get it, man. And I love to hear these stories from you. You also mentioned in there activity versus accomplishment. Maybe you can kind of elaborate there as well.
Yeah. So that's a really good point, and one that unfortunately I had to learn the hard way, right? So a lot of that, what I was doing in the business was creating a shell of a company, right? And so what I learned is if you can do the right steps in the right order to drive income, because that cures all in business, you're going to get results much quicker. Where it's almost like, hey, if you want to run a marathon and you do everything, like you go get shoes, you go get a workout shirt, you plan your workouts, right? That's a lot of activity. Where if I just went out and ran and didn't have the perfect shoes, didn't have the perfect shirt, didn't wait till the best weather, I would get much better results, right? Because those are things that are actually moving the needle, doing the right steps in the right order. And I didn't really know that busy work, right? I thought just investing time and being busy, I would get results. But what I learned was if you can take the right steps in the right order, you can compress time and get results much quicker.
Yeah, and it's important for people like you and I to understand that it so like it's jumping out of the plane, right? And building a parachute on the way down. It's not that you're failing when you make these little mistakes, but you're actually moving forward because the more you sit there and try to plan everything out and try to make everything perfect prior to jumping into something, prior to doing something, the more time you're wasting, and you're going to make mistakes anyway. So you're never going to plan anything out perfectly. So why not just jump in? My mentality, I shoot from the hip, man. I just jump into something and then fix. And I think that that's okay. And that's gotten me fairly far. But people out there listening, I know that people get stuck in the analysis paralysis stage a lot. And I think that what you're saying is kind of combating that.
Yeah, I think imperfect action trumps waiting for the perfect time, right? And honestly, although we don't like to learn from the school of hard knocks, I promise you those mistakes are the best teachers. And sure, it's not ideal to make them. And how you minimize them is surrounding yourself with people that have the results that you want, continuously educating while taking action. So it's not an or, it's an and situation. Take action while educating, while learning, while having mentors.
Cool, man. And also, this makes me think to my daughter and how I want to be teaching her about life. And teaching her to be adaptable in situations is probably more effective than teaching her how to plan, right? Because being adaptable and being able to shift and pivot when needed and on demand is very important for people like us.
Yeah. And Nico, let me ask you then. So that's something that's really awesome, right? Is being able to lead by example to your family for that. And that's something I wish I would have had as a kid. And ultimately something I hope to do for my family one day when I have one. How would you think you would do that for your daughter? Because it's young, right? You can't, I guess let me ask you, because that's a really cool point I'd love to learn more about.
Yeah, man. So like just as an example, we were going camping and she's like, "Daddy, what are we going to do?" And I said, "I don't know. We don't know what the weather's like. We don't know what the other, people that we're staying with are going to feel like or be like. We're just going to go and we're going to wing it." And it always works out awesome. So like the last trip was incredible. Although we had 36 hours of pouring rain, we weren't necessarily totally prepared for it. We didn't have enough outfits or whatever, but we made it work. And I showed her that we don't have to be 100% ready for something to make it a successful adventure, and we made it a real successful adventure. So she learns things from me like that. Although I do like to plan, but I don't like to over plan because things arise and things come up, and I want her to be the person that can pivot and shift and be adaptable.
That's awesome, man. And yeah, that's a very important point in business, right? Because if not, you're going to hit a roadblock and not be able to get around it. And that's when people throw in the towel and give up and somehow justify that that's not for them, right? And that mindset is ultimately going to lead to failure.
Yeah. Hey, all right, Josh, let's talk about where you're living right now. Where are you? What's going on in your life now? What are you looking at? What's going on?
Yeah, so I live just south of Jacksonville, Florida, so Northeast Florida in St. Augustine. And actually, I'm really excited about this market in particular. So, first off, if you look at Florida, it's one of the biggest net migration states. So, as far as an investing perspective, you have the wind at your back, right? People are moving here, employers are moving here. That's always a good thing to have. Now, why specifically I'm excited about this market within Florida and this time period we're in right now. Right now within Jacksonville, there's a lot of new inventory coming online, a lot of A-class units, so much so that A-class rents are actually decreasing. And people that bought here within the last couple of years bought on very low cash flow and being sold, it was a growth market. And so they may have over anticipated their returns. Now, that could lead to having some trouble in their deals, right? If their underwriting doesn't pencil as is. Now, these units coming online, eventually that's going to level off and they're going to get absorbed and this will normalize. So right now, specifically, I think for those that are ready, it's a really good time to take action, and even more so within Jacksonville, because if you compare Jacksonville to a Tampa or a Miami or the other big metros, it's still very much affordable here. And so I think there's a lot of growth to be had specifically in this market.
That's awesome, man. So I don't know much about Jacksonville, and I don't know the nuances of each little neighborhood and pocket of Jacksonville, but I do hear great things about it. Um, and I also agree with you that it's an excellent time to buy, because I've already come across a lot of different operators that are struggling and looking to offload properties, and it's a good opportunity to purchase if we can get something that's cash flowing. Some of the troubles that I run into in Florida are making something cash flow based on the expenses. Expenses have changed significantly, and most notably, insurance. Have you seen that as well in Jacksonville?
Yeah, absolutely. So one, I mean, I'm trying to avoid flood zones, which is hard to do in Florida. We've been smashed by a few natural disasters recently. But I think that those expenses have leveled off, and the increases, while still may go up, they're not going to go up 30, 40% like insurance has in the last couple of years. But that just leads to more of the opportunity, right? Not only has rent growth slowed, but expense growth went up as well. So I really, really, truly believe that creates the perfect storm to buy here, buy now.
Yeah, and interest rates are way up as well. So if you can get something that cash flows today, and just to think about, let's say interest rates dropped a year or 2, 3 years from now, you're in a great spot. And just like you said, there's a lot of things coming online, and if rents have kind of slowed down or decreased or flattened or whatever, it's definitely an opportunity, because once the economy picks back up, we saw what happened in 2021, 22. I mean, the rents we had 16, 20, 30% rent growth year over year for a couple of years. And that's going to happen again at some point, especially since they're flattening now. So
Yeah, I agree, Nico. And one thing, a few things I want to kind of hit on for your listeners to have them be prepared for this storm that's coming is one, I think that banking relationships have tightened up, and we're seeing that. And usually when I buy a deal, I'll start with a local community bank, and then eventually after performing my value add plan, refinance out to agency. Now, what you're going to want to do is figure out what local banks are aggressive on lending and build a relationship with them, right? So go open a bank account with them, move a significant amount of money if you have it into an account with them, open a credit card with them. For me, it's catching up with my banker, stopping in, grabbing lunch with him at least quarterly, if not monthly. In this way, like I said, they're very relationship based. When I get a deal, they'll be willing to lend. And that's going to be a big differentiator on me versus a lot of other investors, especially out of state ones or big syndicators that don't use recourse debt. So that's a big way to get prepared, and a huge tip that your listeners should implement.
yeah, I second that. So I have a really good relationship with a federal credit union down in Florida. We closed one deal last year, and then we just closed another deal this year with that same lender. And I talk to him all the time. He passes me deals occasionally. We're always in communication to see what's going on in the lending world. And it was a tough one it's recourse, right? And some people are afraid of that. I'm not afraid of it. Me and my one partner signed on this particular loan it was recourse. And he was like, you know what, Nico, I had to sell my son for this deal, but I got it done. And he got it done. We got a fairly good, rate, and we got a fairly good terms. And I'm happy with it. We could always do a loan modification down the road, and we could also do a refinance with them at no cost. So I think it's what you're saying, having the relationship open and always be speaking with and connecting with and communicating with these lenders is imperative.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And even more so when you close the deal, you want to keep them up to date with your performance on the value add plan you're doing. Send them pictures, right? Again, they are your biggest partner in the deal. They're bringing half or more of the money. And so you have to look at it that way.
Hey, man, I like that. Great tip. I never sent him any pictures or anything. It's a good idea.
Yeah. Another thing, Nico, that I think would be of value is obviously people will say, hey, there's no deals out there. And right now, like you said, right, interest rates are higher, expenses are higher. It's hard to really pencil out what rent growth is going to be. So it's like, okay, how do we find these needles in a haystack or these good deals that we're looking for? I think doubling down on acquisitions is a really, really smart move right now. So what does that look like? Calling your brokers monthly, right? Continuing to have that relationship with them. So when they have that pre-market deal, they're going to give you a swing at it. The second thing I would say is going direct to seller. I truly believe that if you can reach these people before others and focus on building the relationship with them, not just harvesting the deal, that you can have a competitive advantage and have the option of choice of what you want to buy.
So important. And I want to talk about that in a second, but I also wanted to mention to you that I've noticed a significant decline in competition of buyers. The buyers, many buyers don't have the same appetite. Either they're fearful of what's going on, or maybe they're running into trouble themselves on some of their deals. And it's important to always be offering and communicating with brokers as well. I have really good relationships with brokers, and I'm constantly talking to them and offering on deals and offering my advice and opinion on where I would come in on certain deals. And they truly appreciate that. They always say thank you. And and going back to your question, or your point rather, of going direct to seller, I'm not excellent at it. I'm not a pro at it. I lean on others who do it. But do you have a system for doing that?
Absolutely. So first, we're going to want to get a list, and I think the best site for that is probably CoStar. Now, it's also one of the more expensive ones. And then from there, you're going to want to go ahead and skip trace that list and scrub it, right? But if we don't want to use CoStar, PropStream is really good, List Source, Reonomy, any of those data aggregation sites. And you want to get your deal criteria. So for us, we wanted 70s and newer assets. And a few different criteria we looked at when we pulled our list is one, deals that have loan maturity coming up, and then deals that haven't traded in a while either, right? So they haven't had a sale in quite a bit of time. So those owners usually have some equity, they've owned it for a while. And obviously the market's appreciated in the last decade or so quite a bit. And then from there, you got to figure out how you're going to market to these people. Are we texting them? Are we cold calling them? Are we doing the cold calls ourselves? Are we having a VA? Are we emailing them, or are we sending letters? And then once you kind of pick which channels of marketing you're going to do, then the key is to reach out and do it continuously, right? It takes a lot of time, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth contact, to be able to build a relationship and have them reach out. And then my opinion is to not, again, try to harvest a sale from them, but build the relationship. So I judge my success in the direct to owner campaigns of how many lunch meetings do I have set up, how many coffees. And so this way I can build that relationship. And when they want to sell, I am top to mind. And another thing is, owner financing is a real key to making deals work right now. And a lot of these gentlemen, so for example, I had the other day off one of my direct to seller campaigns, a gentleman who owns a 79 unit. They've owned it a little over a decade. He wants about 8 million for it, and he has 500K in debt. He has no idea what he's going to do with the money. He's open to owner financing. And so if I could perform my value add plan, get him to hold the note at something like 3, 4, or 5%, it's a much cheaper interest rate than if I went to the debt market and got something with a 7 in front of it.
That's amazing, Josh. Now, how does somebody like that trust you? I mean, if you, let's say you had lunch a few times, what are you talking about? Are you talking about the deals that you've done? Are you talking about, I mean, because they have to buy into you as a person that can implement this business plan that you're proposing to them.
Yeah, that's very true, right? So first off, let's talk about their downside risk, right? If they're holding the note and I mess up, the deal goes back to them. So it's not a terrible worst case scenario. But as far as building the relationship, it's just taking a genuine interest in them. So for example, this gentleman, he had been in real estate for 50 years. I mean, that's 5 decades of experience. And so I wanted to hear his story, right? How did you get started? How has the real estate market shifted since you've been in it? What kind of deals would you buy in today's market? And I think when you're interested in those people, they think you're interesting, right? And then you want to reciprocate. They're going to want to know about you. Why are you doing this? Who are you doing this for and with? And so for me, sharing them with my goals, right? My goal is to be the kindergarten room dad, to coach little league with my kids and travel the world with my family. And real estate just happens to be the vehicle to have my money work for me so I can have time freedom.
It's awesome, man. And so I know that you've done also like Airbnbs and stuff like that. Do you love multifamily, or is there office? Like, what are you looking at specifically, or is it just multifamily?
So specifically multifamily, obviously I started in single family. I did do one Airbnb, and I'm in a town, St. Augustine, that has a lot of Airbnbs. And what I've noticed is, one, you're open against regulations locally, right? They're always trying to regulate these things. Two, if Airbnb changes their fees or something happens with that, you have troubles with that as well. And then that's almost a hospitality space. And so I really like multifamily because I think the demand will always be there. We're becoming a renter nation, and the economies of scale make it so much easier to build a business.
I agree. Are you looking at joint ventures? Are you looking to do something on your own? Are you looking at syndication? What model are you looking at?
Ooh, that's great. So I specifically like the joint venture model or taking deals down on my own. And the reason being is when you syndicate, although it's a really great model and there's unlimited of other people's money, eventually you're going to go full cycle on that deal. And so then at that point, it creates a taxable event and you have to go repurpose that money. Where what we do with the joint venture model, we find these deals that are value add, we perform our value add plan, and then we do a refinance. And when you refi a deal, you're getting that money tax free. It's a loan. And then I'm still owning that first asset that we just refied. And usually I have very little to none of my own money in that deal. It's still paying me. And then I'm able to repurpose that money into the next deal. And this way, my goal is to stack these assets, own them for the long term, and hopefully be able to pass them down to my kids and their kids.
Cool, man. Josh, do you look for specific metrics? I know that there is a set of standard metrics that all limited partners look for in a syndication. Is that true for you as well? And when you're seeking for a joint venture?
Are you talking within the deal or the partners?
Oh, I'm talking within the deal. Like, what type of returns are attractive to you, or what do you look for in returns? I'm talking cash on cash, IRR, equity multiple.
Yeah, love that. So going in, I love to be at about north of 5% cash on cash. What this does is creates a cushion that the deal has money coming in, and then stabilize. I would love to be north of 8% cash on cash. And I would like to get there within 18 to 24 months, performing my business plan.
That's awesome, man. Um, all right, let's shift a little bit. So you spoke prior, we were talking a little bit about a mastermind that you might be starting up. Is this something we can chat about?
Yeah, man, would love to fill your audience in on this. So, okay, Nico, as I spoke about, I've been in the education space for quite a long time, right? And the first one I worked for Fortune Builders, super awesome company. Dan, the owner, was a rock star. I mean, the guy played in the NFL. He went to Yale. He just great human, right? Growth mindset, really crushed it in every aspect of life. And I was very grateful to be able to learn about what it takes there, right? How they educate people, how to create a good culture, what leadership looks like. And then in the multifamily space, I had two mentors that I worked for as well that I helped build and establish their education company. Now, one thing I was always up against working for these companies is if I owned it, I would do things slightly different, right? And I believe that some of the actions taken weren't, let's say, best for the students, right? You could do a better job. And I believe if you have a killer product that really, truly puts the student first and has the goal of getting them from where they are to their goals and providing all the resources necessary to do so, that you will take off, right? Absolutely excel by just having the best product in the market. And so with that, a buddy and I, who I met at Fortune Builders, decided that we're going to start our own company. We call it Multifamily Wealth Nation. And basically the goal is to be able to be the best multifamily educators in the space and to really, truly help people and provide every resource needed to help them create success.
I love it, man. And I actually started a little crash course as well. So right now I'm working with a small group, small cohort, and I'm doing it pro bono. I got 5 people, and I'm going to be doing another cohort paid at some point. But right now I'm just kind of going through like a trial run. And I've learned that the consumer, the customer, the person that I'm working with is important or more important than what I give them. because I'm learning that people, they sign up for things, and some people don't necessarily know what they're getting into, and it's really important to kind of lay out lay out expectations prior, and lay out what they need to be, how much time they need to devote to it, how much interest, how long they're going to be in this game for. I think those expectations up front are paramount, really, for student success.
Yeah, Nico. So, all right, you hit on some really cool stuff here that I think we can sort of expand on. First off, if I had a room full of 100 people and I asked them how many want, let's say $30,000 a month in passive income, every single person's going to raise their hand, right? Now, if I showed them the amount of work it's going to take, the sacrifice, the discipline, the late nights to get there, then a lot of these people are going to start to drop off, right? And there's a reason it's the 99% and the 1%. And so, I agree. In theory, it sounds good, but then those that actually are willing to go the extra mile to make it happen are less and less. Now, with the group you're doing, I love that because you're working out the kinks, doing it pro bono, right? You're saying, hey, I'm going to perfect this system. And truly, teaching is the highest form of learning. Now, the flip side of that is those that have skin in the game tend to pay attention, right? So it's almost harder or easier to walk away if you're not invested financially in something like this.
Such a good point. And I found that true for myself as well. Once you pop in a little bit of money, and it's significant for you personally, it doesn't matter the amount, right? If it's a significant amount for you personally, you're going to invest more of your attention, energy, and enthusiasm into that, whatever that project is. And that's how I was too. Me and you, man, you connected. We hit it off right away. I popped in money, which was a significant amount for me, not necessarily for other people. And I went full steam, man. I said, I'm getting every use of my dollar. And I loved it. I really, really dove in head first, man.
Yeah, Nico, I love that, man. And honestly, you're a go-getter, bro. That speaks to you and your character and your dedication to this journey and making it happen. And honestly, it's been really cool watching you go through this, your growth, and even encountering some roadblocks along the way, how you continue to push forward where most wouldn't have.
Yeah, it wasn't perfect. It was hard to really conceptualize how it was going to be done, like how my journey was going to unfold at first. And I thought that it was going to be a little easier. It wasn't, but that I don't quit things, and that's the kind of mentality that I'm looking for in my mentees as well. I would love to mentor somebody or teach somebody that is not going to give up. And there were times when I was like, oh my God, I just hit rock bottom. I can't continue this. This is not what I signed up to do. But working through that made me only stronger, and feel more attached to this game and this journey.
Yeah. And to those listening, one point I found that really helps is most people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 5. So if we zoom out over a long enough time horizon and take the right actions combined with the right network and the right knowledge, I think that most people can accomplish their goals. However, if you're looking at that 6-month time period, that 1-year time period, it can look discouraging.
Wow, man. I love that insight. Now, somebody who would be like, do you have an avatar for your I guess your program? Do you have something that somebody that's specific that you're looking for, and then what they can work on pre joining your mastermind? Do you have anything like that?
Yeah, I love that. So our ideal client is someone who's in real estate and is looking to scale, right? Maybe they've done a flip, a couple wholesale deals, have some rentals, and they realize that those little onesies and twosies, while great, they're transactional. They're not going to get them to their goals at the time period they're looking for. And know that within multifamily, it's a great industry to scale. And so these are people that we would like to help, people that are looking for their tribe, right? Another thing I've learned is entrepreneurship can be lonely. As I'm full-time in this business, I miss sometimes the environment and culture I had when I did have a job and when I had that. And so someone who's looking for their tribe that's pushing for more. Now, if you were to ask me, what's the best thing you can do to get ready? I think that there's never a perfect time, right? And like you said, that imperfect action is better than no action at all. I think as long as you're ready to commit to grow to the best version of yourself and to achieve your goals and be surrounded by others that are on the same path and have access to those that have achieved it so you can minimize those mistakes, I think take the leap. I'd rather not have those regrets later on in life.
So cool, man. Josh, give us a little bit of color of what your program looks like. How long are people in for? Like, when does it begin? How many groups are you going to have? Yeah, shed a little bit of light on that.
Yeah. So our official launch date is going to be January 1st. We do have a little bit of an incentive for those who want to sign up beforehand. And what we're doing is we're sort of crowdsourcing the genius, right? So although I have results, right, I know that there are people way smarter in this industry than I am. And so we're going to bring in the top industry experts to come teach. And so how we're doing that is weekly, we're going to have different experts teaching, where it's going to be almost a group coaching format. And I really like that because, one, Nico, imagine this, man, you and I are on a call and I'm sitting there, listening, and you're thinking these things that I'm not even thinking of, like really good questions to ask. And then you go ask them. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wow, that was a great question. I wish I would have thought to ask that. The second thing is, on these group coaching calls like that, I'm going to slowly get familiar with other community members. And as you know, in multifamily, it's a team sport, and your network and your net worth are highly correlated. So I believe in the power of that group coaching. The second thing we're going to do is have an online community, like most education platforms do. We're doing ours through Kajabi communities. So just taking it off Facebook, there's too many distractions on there, too much going on. We're also going to have in-person events. We're aiming to make them ultra premium, meaning, sure, we're going to have all the education, we're going to fly in the speakers, and you're going to learn a lot, but also we're going to have really, really high-end team building and networking events going on as well to sort of facilitate that group interaction. And so people partner as well.
I love that, man. Really cool. Now, what about like partnering people together like that are new? I mean, what if like somebody came in and was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I mean, do you start people from scratch, or are you only looking for somebody who's got some experience?
Yeah, so we absolutely have no problem if someone has limited knowledge. And in fact, that way we can teach them the right way to do things from square one with systems, and sort of get rid of any bad, or they don't have any bad habits, right? And so we do have a full online training center that goes through step by step how to build this business, and learning everything in it. And then what I would recommend for that type of person is, hey, let's get our feet wet. Let's learn the lingo, the vocabulary within multifamily. And then while we're doing it, start networking, right? And start implementing what we're learning. So while you learn, you have the potential to earn as well.
Cool, man. Okay. And how long is the program, or is it not, is it definite or indefinite?
So 1 year program, right? And I just, everybody's like, hey, the elephant in the room is how much is it? So before January 1st, it'll be 6,000. After that, 7,500. And then after that, the 1 year, it'll be a 1,250 per month quarterly subscription. And my goal is to provide so much value that people want to stay. They want to stay a part of the network.
Josh, that's incredible, man. That is a seriously good entry price point. I love it. And you have a course, you have courses and program the program built out already on Kajabi with different aspects like acquisition, asset management, building a team. Do you have all that stuff? Underwriting, is it there?
Absolutely. So we're 99% of the way there. There's a couple modules we're still recording that, obviously being a perfectionist, sometimes we want a perfect product to go to market, but I know that what we have is absolutely going to be one of the best in the industry. And yes, we have every aspect A to Z.
That's so cool, man. Do you provide individual coaching, or will you provide individual coaching if somebody needs like a call for an hour or something like that, a month or something?
Yeah, always happy to go above and beyond, right? That's the goal there within this, is to do that and ultimately put student success at the front of what we do. So if we got to go the extra mile, happy to hop on and do what's needed to get someone over the line.
Awesome. I love it, Josh. All right, let's talk a little bit about what you see the future of real estate for the next couple of years. Like the world seems to be in decline. I'm shifting gears here again, by the way. The world seems to be in decline. People are afraid of what's going on. I told you there are fewer buyers out there. The sellers are selling if they have to only. So how are you seeing the industry in the next couple of years?
Yeah, so this is a really great thing. And I think first we start with kind of the mindset of it. And Robert Kiyosaki says it best, right? He says, buy fear, sell greed. So, right, be greedy when others are fearful, and be fearful when others are greedy. And so in a time like this, sure, it's choppy water, and you need to be a good sailor to handle that. However, this is where millionaires are made, right? When there's an opportunity right now where you see cap rates are expanding. And so what I think is going to happen, it's not if, it's when interest rates get cut, that we're going to see demand pick up again, right? And then we're going to see asset or cap rates compress again. So if you can buy a good cash flowing asset with strong value add upside, and you can hold it and perform that, so good asset management, good construction, tight systems, and then 2-3 years from now, whenever interest rates are cut, perform a cash out refi. And let's say you're refining from community bank debt, which is usually a 25-year amortization, to agency debt. You'll be able to pull out all your cash and some, and then stretching that amortization out, you might be able to have the same cash flow or more.
Yes, I agree 100%, Josh. Excellent advice. Thank you for sharing and being with me on that thought process, that thought train, because it's important for people to know. I agree, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, here's the thing, right? A lot of people, they're going to justify that now is not the time to buy, or this isn't for me, or they'll hear someone say, oh gosh, the economy is terrible. Why would you buy now? Those are the people that are going to look back in the rearview mirror and say, oh, opportunity passed me by, right? You only create success when preparation meets opportunity.
Beautiful. All right, Josh, I want to do this. I'm going to hit you with my final question, which I didn't warn you about, and you probably forgot it because this was 170 episodes ago that I last spoke to you. And then I want to get people some form of contacting you and reaching out to see if they can join that mastermind. So let's do it. Josh, let's imagine it was 100 years from now. You are kindergarten dad. You've been that a couple times over now. You have great grandchildren, and they want to write a book about you and your journey and your life. What would you want them to title this book?
Oh man, Nico, that's a deep question, right? And it just took me really inside for a second there. I would have it titled A Life Worth Living, right? Because I don't think I want to be known for one thing specifically, but I would love to have it where, one, I led by example for my family, but that's only a small number of people I'm impacting. I would love, love, love to be able to change the outcome of a whole generation of people, right? Now having a mastermind and being in this business like you are, we're not selling sugar water. We're not working at Coca-Cola, right? You have the ability to take someone and give them financial freedom and change the outcome of their lives, their kids, kids, and those around them if they take this seriously. And education, financial education specifically, is not taught within the schools, and it's not really taught personal development. So if you can be that shining light for someone and be the catalyst to get the change they need in their life, to me, that's the most gratifying thing. And that lights me up and gives me purpose. And I hope one day to be able to do that for quite a significant number of people.
It's incredible, man. A Life Worth Living, Josh Roosen. I love it. Hey, you know what? I didn't, before we get your contact information, I wanted to ask you, you're on point, man. You're always on point. You're always like fired up and energized. And what do you do? Like, what's your routine like?
Oh, Nico, man, this is deep, bro. I don't think listeners are ready for this.
They're ready. I'm ready. It's for me. This question is for me.
All right, man. So I'm a big fan of a bunch of different hormetic stressors. So I have a cold plunge in my backyard. I probably do that 5-6 days a week. I sauna at least the same number of days a week. Lift weights, got blue light blocking glasses on at night, mouth taping, blacked out bedroom when I sleep, solid 8 hours of sleep nightly. Eat a more of a paleo carnivore diet with some intermittent fasting. Aim for early morning sunlight in my eyes. Days that I'm not doing cardio, I shoot for 10,000 steps a day. And truthfully, this is a really good point though, Nico. I believe that if we treat our bodies like we're an athlete and entrepreneurship is our sport, we're going to get better results. I think it makes you more resilient to stress. I think it gives you more energy, and then you're able to just do what you do better.
Dude, that is so cool. And I live a very similar lifestyle. But I'm going to add something. Have you ever done meditation or specific like sound wave meditation or treatment?
No, I need to get into that, bro. I'm bad at stillness.
Okay. Well, so meditation has been a game changer for me, particularly because of some of the things that I've gone through. They've also changed the way I look at the world and the way I see myself and the way I and what I put importance on in my life. And it's just kind of helped me be a little bit more calm. So meditation has been a huge one for me in expanding just a lot of different aspects of my life and what I've been through. Not everybody needs it though necessarily at this stage of their life, but at some point I think that everybody can benefit from some form of meditation, and there's different types and ways of doing it. And I only recently got into like sound treatment, what I'm calling it, like, and it helps me focus. If I'm sitting there and I'm doing a bunch of work on the computer, I'll put on a certain hertz, typically the Schumann resonance, and I'll just be able to focus a little bit more and kind of zone out and get really, deep into what I'm working on.
Now, question for you on that. Do you need it in headphones where it projects the like left ear, right ear, or can you project that just through like the computer speakers?
I do it through the computer speakers most of the time. However, I do feel a little bit better when I have them in my headset. But a lot of times it's just, I can't because I'm either working or like I have my daughter or something. So I can't completely tune out unless it's nighttime when I'm by myself.
Dude, awesome tip. I'm excited to implement that.
Cool, man. All right, Josh, let's get people some form of contacting or reaching out to you and or joining your epic mastermind.
Cool. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to give them my personal cell phone. Ready for this? So 810-348-6689. That number again, 810-348-6689. And feel free to shoot me a text, give me a call. Look, even if the mastermind's not a fit, happy to connect, add value in any way I can. That's really the big picture goal here.
I believe you 100%. You are the go-giver, man. And when we first met, you gave me resources right away without even signing up for anything. It was like, boom, I got in my inbox a bunch of resources to help me out. Just a really true go-giving mentality. And thank you, Josh, for that.
Nico, man, I just want to say I appreciate you, man. You're a genuine human, a really good guy, and I'm proud to call you a friend.
Thanks, man. I feel the same. Today has been honestly just really one of my favorite days. Just being able to connect with you, reconnect, hear what you're working on, get inspired from you. And I just love chatting with you, man. So thank you.
Dude, thank you, Nico.
All right. Hey, Small Axe community. I would like to say thank you for listening to another episode of my podcast where we show you how to use your small axe to build a lasting empire. Now, if you liked what you heard, it would mean the world to me if you would subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, and write a review. Also, if you want to get in touch with me, go to my website at smalaxecommunities.com. Book a call with me. And until the next episode, keep sharpening those axes.